Dear Diary, Dan thinks his game is better, but it's not. It's mine.
So then the cashier asks for my name, and I'm all like, Steve guy, and then he actually starts getting upset at me. I mean, how does he know that's not my real name? Are you listening?
I'm sorry, I was working on this script.
Script? What script?
I'm glad you asked. It's about the secret life of instruments and how they come to life when no one's around.
Really? That kind of sounds like Toy Story.
No. You see, there's all these different instruments. And then the lead instrument starts to get jealous when a new DJ instrument arrives. Then it's about the rivalry between those two.
Yeah, that's exactly the plot of Toy Story.
Really? Well then I guess it isn't helping that I called the movie Instrument Story.
Not at all.
Darn, Toy Story. Good movie.
Yeah, pretty good video game too.
It was good. For the Super Nintendo.
No, it was better for the Sega Genesis.
That's what you think.
Toy Story was the first feature-length computer-animated film. Released in 1995, it was produced by Pixar Animation Studios, released by Walt Disney Pictures. The film was a hit, critically and financially. The success of Toy Story led to sequels, spin-off films, TV shows, and of course, video games.
Developed by Traveler's Tale, there were games made for the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and PC. A Game Boy version was developed by Tiger Tex Design Studios. The ones we're focusing on were the games made for the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Which one's better? Let's find out.
Graphics on Sega are almost as good as the movie.
Keeping in style with the movie, this game is loaded with 3D rendered visuals instead of sprites. The characters look great, just like they did in the movie, and the levels are all inspired by the movie too. Throw in fluid 3D animation, and this game has an overall great look.
My game looks just as good. I have the same 3D rendered look. All my characters look just like they did in the movie too. I have the same looking levels based on locations in the movie. And the fluid animations make this one sharp looking game.
Man, this is gonna be tough since our games are so similar.
If only there was someone who could help us.
Reach for the sky.
Who are you?
Sorry to intrude. I was walking by and couldn't help hearing you guys talking about Toy Story. I thought my Woody doll might help.
And you just happen to have a Woody doll on you?
Yeah, I always walk around with my Woody.
We don't need your Woody doll here.
You sure?
We're grown men. Why would you think we want a toy?
Look, maybe you're gonna have to come back another time.
Yeah, we're kind of busy.
Really busy.
Oh, sure.
Glad that's resolved.
Yeah, a nice resolution, if you will.
Resolution? Right. My game has a higher screen resolution.
The Super Nintendo has a lower horizontal screen resolution. This crops out 32 pixels from each side of the screen. The Sega game, you get the full intended view. Having a higher resolution gives the Sega better graphics.
You can have your resolution. Super Nintendo has much better use of color. Super Nintendo's 256 colors shines compared to the Sega's 64 colors. The Super Nintendo looks bright and colorful. The Sega game looks a bit dull. This makes the Super Nintendo game look more like the movie, while the Sega game looks like some bootleg copy. With a look more in line with the movie, graphics go to Nintendo. The presentation of both games is pretty much the same. The menus in the game are very simple. They made everything pretty easy to understand. There's very few icons on the screen at a time, keeping clutter to a minimum. Nothing unique in either game.
Right, but what about cutscenes? Because Sega's cutscenes look like they're right out of the movie.
In between levels, you're treated to a nice cutscene that follows the story from the movie. These pictures could honestly be stills from the film.
That's nothing special, I have the same cutscene. Super Nintendo also has cutscenes in between every level. They follow the story from the movie too. I even have those stills you were so proud of.
You gotta be kidding me if you think your game's as good as mine.
The Sega game has more pictures during their cutscenes. Nintendo just has one or two. And a lot of Nintendo's cutscenes are just text. And listen to the Nintendo cutscene. Nothing. No music or anything. And now Sega. You have the theme for the movie playing over every cutscene.
So you have more pictures in a song. My game still tells the story fine.
Are you serious? The way you do it is so boring.
Cutscenes with just words and no music are dull. It's got nothing on music and lots of pictures. Plus, lots of pictures and having a song playing immerse you in the experience. It feels more like the movie, and that's always a good thing. With much better cutscenes, presentation goes to Sega.
Well, since both of our games look the same, I'm sure they sound the same too.
Yeah, but...
But only if we had someone to help us out, I'm sure is what you were going to say.
To infinity and beyond!
Me again. I figured if you didn't want the toy, maybe you'd want this picture.
Did you just print that off the computer?
No. Yeah, like 5 minutes ago.
Okay, hold on. Didn't we hear Buzz Lightyear?
That's because I'm really good at impressions.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
That was pretty good, but we don't need a picture.
You sure?
Why would we want a picture from a children's movie?
Yeah, do we look like we're into cartoons? Look, man, we're just a little busy now.
Just a little. I get it. Say no more. I'll show myself after. I can fix this. I'll leave it.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah, we need to start locking the front door.
No, I was thinking since our sound is the same, we should compare quality. And we all know Super Nintendo's best at that. Let's compare voiceovers. Plain and simple, the voices on Nintendo are clear, while Sega's voices sound distorted.
Code Red! Boo! 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 Code Red! Boo! Boo! Boo!
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
You don't want to be in the way when my laser goes off.
Here it comes! To infinity and beyond!
Here it comes! To infinity and beyond!
And if that's not enough, the Super Nintendo's music is much better quality. Clearly, the quality is better on the Super Nintendo.
You know what? I'm a little tired of you jamming quality down my throat. Maybe I like the rough 16-bit electronic sound of Sega better.
Maybe, but mine sounds more like the movie, which enhances the gameplay experience.
Fine. You want to experience more like the movie? Let's compare the theme songs.
What theme song?
The Randy Newman Oscar-nominated song Friend Like Me, of course.
Oh, that song. Well,
what?
you see, the thing is, I don't have that song.
Seriously?
The song that's most associated with the movie. The song that's associated with all Toy Story movies, actually. You're telling me you don't have it? No wonder the cutscenes in Super Nintendo feel so empty, so lacking of heart. How do you not have the most important song in the movie? And I actually have two versions of it in the Sega game. One during cutscenes, and another in the credits, where you also have no music.
And actually, that's not the only song you're missing.
There's also no song after you complete a level. Once again, Super Nintendo prefers silence. despite its shortcomings, for having the theme song and the level complete song, sound has to go to Sega.
Okay, maybe I get having the theme song, but level complete song? Really?
Do you even know what it's like to hear that song when you win?
No. What?
Sega game definitely has a better gameplay.
It's a simple platformer with simpler controls. Playing as Woody, all you can do is jump or attack with your whip. You don't kill enemies, but you tie them up temporarily. The whip can also be used to vine swing between platforms. There's lots of variety too. There's levels where you control RC, race to avoid obstacles, and even a 3D Doom-like stage. All these elements give my game the better gameplay.
How is that better? It's exactly the same as mine. My game is also a platformer. I also play as Woody with jumping and whipping action. I can also vine swing. I have all the same variety you have. Levels with RC, avoiding obstacles, and the 3D stage. I have everything you have. At best, gameplay is a tie.
Yeah, but you don't have everything I have. The Sega game has an extra level.
Not included in the SNES version is the Daytona level. Probably because the SNES couldn't handle the 3D racing awesomeness.
Awesomeness? That level's lame. You just drive around collecting batteries in an awful 3D rendered level. And the controls are horrible to boot. Why should this make your game better?
Well, having that level is just like a nice bonus. Even if it wasn't included, the Sega game still plays better.
Overall, the controls in the Sega game feel better. A good example of this is the whip. On the Super Nintendo, the whip has to be super accurate. This can cause a lot of unnecessary frustration when vine swinging or attacking. This boss battle, for example, is very frustrating on the Super Nintendo. The attack has to be perfect. It's much easier on Sega, where the whip is more forgiving. The Doom level also plays better on Sega. It has a bigger screen and controls fine. On the Super Nintendo game, you get stuck a lot. You constantly cling to invisible walls. And on a level where you're timed, this is very inconvenient. And control is just part of it. Remember how the SNES screen is cropped compared to Sega? Well, that not only affects the graphics, but the gameplay as well. Levels where you need to avoid objects while moving are much harder on Super Nintendo. The cropped picture gives you less of the screen and less time to see anything. The wider screen on the Sega gives you a better view of the playing field and lets you see objects much earlier. With an extra level, more forgiving controls, and a wider playing field, gameplay goes to Sega.
Even though both games look incredibly similar, one is better. And that game is Toy Story on the Sega Genesis.
It looks good, even if it's not as colorful as the movie. The cutscenes are much better. The music isn't the best, but it's complete. And the gameplay is more forgiving. Overall, the Sega game just has more. More screen, more cutscenes, more music, more accurate controls, more levels, and most importantly, more of the movie experience. The Super Nintendo version is fine too, but compared to the Sega game, it falls short. Best game goes to Sega Genesis.
Hey man, don't feel bad. I'll tell you what, I'll help you with the script.
Alright.
So I was thinking instead of music instruments, it should be video games.
Whoa. That's a much better idea.
Excuse me, you guys still talking about Toy Story?
Oh, he's back. He's doing more impressions. Don't make eye contact.
No, we're done with that.
Yeah, we're still kind of busy.
Oh, it should be in an arcade.
Genius.
Darn! Alrighty then. I'll just, see myself out.
Later.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, I'm sure these guys have a barbecue too around here.
Thanks for watching our latest video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks to everyone who suggested Toy Story. And keep those other suggestions coming. We will get to them. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter for behind-the-scenes stuff. Later.
It was like in the parking lot and no one was there. Like, why did I do that?